Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs show. Happy Sunday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. You know, you enjoyed too many drinks at the pub last night. I played a game of football. Whatever you did, I hope you did enjoy it. And we've got obviously game day today. We've got Newcastle at home, 4:30. So we're going to talk a bit about the game, as well as what you can see from the title of what we're talking about in the video. So we've got updates really around a few different transfer news. So we do have an update on Everton's interest in moving on from Mr. Ben Godfrey. So we've got an update on Samuel Iling-Junior. We'll talk about that in a second, as well as interest in Hugo Lloris. Didn't expect that one, did you? You didn't expect that one. Let me start with today's game really quickly, and then we'll talk some transfers. Just want to say, if you're new, give us a little subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us, and you're very much welcome to join us for the journey. Let's talk anyway, Newcastle. And I was out having a few drinks last night, and I actually said this game feels like a must-win. I didn't feel it as much with West Ham and Villa and City and all the other teams we played recently. This one feels like a must-win because, well, I guess, the form recently has been interesting at best. Rubbish, you could probably go with. Also, I think when you look at it, they are also a top four contender, rival, or top five, depending on the Champions League situation there. So right now, when you look at the league table, so we're fifth, they're seventh. Obviously, other teams have played in and around us, so I'm not going to care too much about that. What I want to look at is the points between us. So Spurs right now sitting at 27 points. Newcastle sitting at 26. And obviously, before this poor run of form, obviously we were doing very well. We were quite far clear of a lot of teams that, well, technically are now above us, but also the guys that are in and around us. A win here does just make that gap between 5th and 6th, 3 points. There's a little bit more of a buffer. Get back to winning ways. Starting to get a little bit fitter as the weeks go by. All those things, just all those things, right? If you're going to beat Newcastle at home, this is probably the time you're going to do it, right? So I think, look, as a Spurs fan, and you sit on the other side, we'll all sit there and go, God, look at our injuries, look at our injuries, look at our injuries. Look at Newcastle's injuries. They've got about 3 or 4 youth players on the bench every week at the moment because they don't have players fit. Now, I was looking, they might have Longstaff, Wilson, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. So I can't remember the top one off the top of my head. But Longstaff and Wilson are the main two that I remembered. They might be back into the squad potentially today. A lot of them are saying, look, at best, they're going to be on the bench. And to be honest, Wilson's not crucial to start because obviously you've got Isaac, he's a player and a half, he is. But the rest of them at least starting to get fit. And obviously they've got a big game in the week against AC Milan in the Champions League, which, it is impactful, the Champions League. And as much as Villa have been fine with the Conference League, they've not had their league form suffer. I think it might suffer come the knockout stages. I think City's form has suffered a little bit because of the Champions League. I think Arsenal's hasn't, to be fair. I think Liverpool's hasn't. I think Newcastle's has to a degree. I think Man United's, I think at first did for a little while. I know they lost yesterday to Bournemouth, but minusing off of Bournemouth, I think they did suffer for a little while, but they feel like before Bournemouth, they were all right. They were sort of getting to winning ways. I know it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't the greatest football. It wasn't the sexiest football, but they were winning. I think Newcastle kind of bearing the brunt of Champions League football. And it happens. And Newcastle, obviously, they will be a big team for a long time to come. But it's like City when they first got in the Champions League. It wasn't too comfortable. It wasn't too easy. It does take time to grow. You have to build in, that depth. You have to build in a culture, and it does take time, and they'll be fine, but it's difficult. But right now, they're playing obviously a very young man into midfield who's, I tell you what, Miley, he looks a really, really good player. I watched him against United, and I was really, really impressed. I watched a little bit of the Everton game, and it's one of those ones, I think they're so tired. Everton are really up for it, Everton are a banging form team, and it was just like they made a few sloppy mistakes and they lost. I think the score probably didn't reflect it to a degree. I think Newcastle probably should have scored a few. But obviously Trippier made his mistakes. When I think about their team today, I think, Dubravka in goal. They'll have Trippier at right back. God, I was struggling to think there for a second. Trippier at right back. You had your centre halves being your Shah, and they reckon Botman might be back. But obviously, yeah, probably Lascelles, depending on the dead leg. Livramento at left back. Obviously, Joel Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, and Miley into the midfield. And then your front three, Almiron, Gordon, and Isaac. So, yeah, on the face of things, the lineup's not too bad, right? Bits what's behind. There's nothing really behind it. And that's their issue. So, yeah, for them, bit of a difficult one. For us, look, I've got to hope Pape Matar fit. After watching Højbjerg against West Ham, don't really want to see that one again. Rather Sarr be back. And if he's fit enough to play, I hope he plays. Him and Basuma have got a really good relationship, and I think Sarr brings a lot more energy going forward as well as backwards. Whereas Højbjerg doesn't. Højbjerg gives you the energy going forward, but there's no real substance sometimes. Whereas I think Sarr can give you a bit more substance. I think the rest of the team will be unchanged, though, if I'm honest. I think you can't be putting Kulusevski into this midfield game, because I just feel like it'll be a bit like City. We'll get a little bit overrun. I'd rather just, have Sarr. I think Sarr, I'd play Sarr in the midfield over Kulusevski anyway, but I think this is the game where we don't want to muck around with things like that. Have Lascelles, being in the 10 role. He's been good the last few games. I thought his worst game was at West Ham. I didn't even think it was that bad. But I think Kulusevski out right, Johnson out left, Sonny through his centre. It looks like Son should be okay, supposedly. But we shall see. I think today, look, putting a score prediction on this is going to be difficult, because Newcastle are a real good team. I'm gonna go 2-2. I actually think I'm gonna go 2-2. I just see, that front three of Gordon, who's banging form, Almiron, Isaac, Guimaraes, Joel Linton's always a pest in midfield. In a good way, a pest. I mean, kicks people, gets on the ball, physical, good in the air. I see 2-2. I do see 2-2. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 2-0. I hope it's 3-2, 4-1, whatever to Spurs. But, I think a draw will be it today. But we do need to get back 20 ways. So I do think this is a must-win. But we shall see. Let's talk some transfers anyway. And we're going to start, actually, with Newcastle. I know, what? And this was basically from Ryan Taylor, who put out that Newcastle consider approach for Hugo Lloris if Eddie Howe decides he wants to strengthen the goalkeeping department in January. Martin Dubravka regarded as sufficient cover for Nick Pope, but depth is an issue. Magpies look at a loan looked at a loan late in the summer window. Right, couple of things. Obviously, give you some sort of substance to the story. Obviously, Nick Pope out for 4 to 5 months. Long-term injury, so they do need to get a backup, right? And I think they were touted with a bit of David De Gea as well, which I don't know why Man United let him go, to be honest. But hey, that's another story for another day. Would Lloris go there, right? So, a couple of things. Wages won't be an issue, right? So we know that. He's going to be a number 2 there, though, and he wants to play football. Would he want to go? I don't know if he would. I'm really thinking about it. I don't know if he would. He's been in London for a long time. He's settled there, if you know what I mean. You move into the northeast to sit on the bench. I don't know if he'll do it. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, could he beat out Martin Dubravka? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And that's maybe where he looks at it and goes, maybe I can actually beat that guy out of goalie position. Get myself an extra 6 months in the Premier League, maybe. Okay. Well, actually, maybe I actually have just kind of changed my mind. I didn't think he would, but he might look at Martin Dubravka and go, look, I'm not going to be out of Vicario. Fraser Forster's number 2. I can go there to be the number 2 for 6 months. Maybe I get the position. Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe I can see it. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk. English. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk Ben Godfrey, and it came from Peter O'Rourke, and he said that Everton are prepared to sell Ben Godfrey to Tottenham in January if a bid is submitted. Look, I think we've got this situation with Dele Alli and Everton wanting to lower the price. I think Spurs supposedly said 8 million instead of 10 million, but we want to bring down the number of games because then Spurs get money quicker, and Everton were like, no. it's just their financial situation, Everton. They are kind of a little bit stuck in a way. But again, it's one of those things. It's like Dele Alli's getting punished for something that's not his fault. It's not even Spurs' fault. But on Ben Godfrey, look, if you take away what you've seen of him and you just look at his physical attributes, he's a top centre half in the regard that he's athletic, decent enough in the air, can play out from the back. He kind of looks like a modern day centre half. I've just not seen it really. And look, maybe it's because Everton have been through a rocky period. Maybe he goes to a different club and it just revitalises him. Maybe. But I wonder, if they want selling him, how much are they actually wanting? Because he's not playing right now. Surely you can get him for pennies on the dollar. But to be honest, I'd rather just do a loan with an option. Just do a loan. Even if it was a loan, we're going to give you a couple of mil. We're going to take all of his wages. But was an option with the buyer. Maybe I think that would be best for us. That would still make Everton some money. They save some money with financial fair play. Yeah, I don't know why you would get him on a permanent unless he was like your fifth choice centre half, and then it's just like why. But then I guess homegrown, things like that. Yeah, I guess things like that might pop in, but I don't see it being a smart enough move. A loan deal, yeah, okay, I can kind of get on board with a loan deal because I think it's good depth. It's good to have a centre half. Permanent, I don't think it's a good deal. I don't. I'm just going to finish off really quickly with a Samuel Iling-Junior update. And it came from Football Insider, so that Tottenham told £20 million offer for Iling-Junior likely to be accepted. I think he'll end up probably with Iling-Junior being cheaper than that. I'd say, I mean, look, we were touted somewhere about 15 million, but I think you can get him even cheaper than that. I think you can get him 12, somewhere between 10 and 13, I think, because he's not being played at Juve. He's not going to be played at Juve because Allegri doesn't really want to utilise that sort of player in his sort of rigid system. He's got Chiesa. Chiesa's the guy. Are you going to be out Chiesa? No. He's probably one of the best players in Serie A, so it's not going to happen. I think you can get him cheaper because they'll want to move him. They will want to move Iling-Junior because they need to look at their centre mid area. Obviously, there was the Fagioli ban. Pogba might be suspended from football for 4 years. Yeah, I think you can get him cheaper. Definitely cheaper than 20. I think you can get him for at least 15. I think you'd be silly to give them 20 million because they do want to move on from him. It's not to say that they don't like him or don't rate him. I just think they have financial fair play issues. They need to cash in. And the way to cash in is you get rid of someone that you're not really using, bring in someone that you're going to use. So I think that kind of makes a bit more sense. But guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below your obviously thoughts and feelings about the game today of the Newcastle game. But obviously, you've got the Hugo Lloris thing, Ben Godfrey, Samuel Iling-Junior. Your thoughts and feelings around them as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.